Welcome to another episode of The Chosen Scoop. I'm Jim Luff, Marketing Manager for Chosen Payments. Joining me today is Jeff Brodsly. And before I start hitting up Jeff with a bunch of questions, I just want to take a moment to share with you. The Chosen Scoop is something that we've been doing since about mid-2020. It's an opportunity for us to showcase some of our merchants and what they do and learn a little bit more about them and share a little bit more about behind the scenes at Chosen Payments. And as you know, we're not just a credit card processor. We are your partner in success. And with that in mind, we feel like sharing these chosen scoops is a great way to get to know each other better and share some stuff. And so instead of doing a merchant today, Jeff and I are just going to sit and chat and talk about this, let's call it an interesting year. The year that we struggled to find toilet paper, paper towels. My hair got longer than it's ever been because I couldn't get a haircut. I became addicted to TikTok. There's so many things that happened in this crazy year. But on a serious note, I mean, at Chosen Payments, we've had some great success during the year. We started out in January, Jeff. I don't know if you remember, but in January, Industry Era magazine named you one of the 10 best CEOs in America in 2020. So it was a pretty good way to start out the year in January. We thought we were doing something good. That was followed up by a magazine called Industry Wired that did a feature story on us. We've been on the cover of Funeral Business Advisor, which we're heavy in the funeral industry, so we were honored to be on that cover. And we renewed our contract with the NHRA. So, I mean, despite being a pandemic year, we have done quite well, and we're ending the year on a high note as well. We haven't really told too many people about this yet, but Jeff has been named to the top 10 most inspiring CEOs in America. So the accolades continue to come. We're also going to be featured in a magazine called Beyond Exclamation, and also named one of the most leading fintech companies to watch in 2021. So these are all things that wrap up our year. We started out with success. We ended with success. We had a mishmash in the middle, but all of these awards and working with you and for you, Jeff, is certainly an honor because people are noticing you, and it's it's definitely a year that we had a lot of setbacks for ourselves and our merchants. So Jeff, how, in terms of the growth plans that you had for Chosen Payments in January to where we're actually ending up, how far off are we on the goal, or do you want to talk about where you are there?
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Mr. Jim. I think just to back up a little bit, I want to talk about the origin of the Chosen Scoop, and kind of, it's, I don't want to say we pioneered something, because we definitely didn't, but maybe we foreshadowed or had some, our management, our marketing team had some vision here. We started the Chosen Scoop before the pandemic. People were starting to, do a little bit more social media, podcasts, and a lot of that was going out there. So as you said, it was like a way to originally just to connect with our merchants, because the truth of the matter is, as a credit card processor, we're a dime a dozen. I mean, we truly are, and we're a commodity. And most people look at us as just like a utility, like a phone company or a gas company. But we're different. I mean, we truly are. And, it's like an industry that I love, because the path to earn somebody's business is very hard. The barrier of entry is hard. But once we are able to, overcome that, we prove to people that we're different. It's like I always use the analogy, have you ever had a bad piece of pizza? Most people have. I said, well, did you have a piece of pizza again? Well, yeah, they have. Well, because it's not always a bad piece, and we're often lumped into being that bad piece. But something that we're doing, like the Chosen Scoop, shows that we're more than a credit card processor. We take time to go out to all these various industries that we're a part of, whether it's the transportation industry, the funeral industry, the pet care industry, the automotive industry, the medical industry, the hotel industry. We go out and we speak to merchants and associations and software partners and just shoot the breeze, talk to them. How's your life been? What's been going on? Just so happened to be that we started this kind of right when the pandemic was happening. So it was like, people are on their phones more. You said you got addicted to TikTok. I haven't got there yet, but I'm definitely scrolling a lot more on Facebook and Insta. But, I think the origin of this was to continue to show that we're more than a normal credit card processor. we want to add value to our clients, and we just want to humanize our brand and who we are. So yeah, that's that. And then, with that, I think we've done, I don't know, Jim, how many of these have we done so far in 2020?
We've probably done about 12 of them.
12. Okay. So, rounding it out with me, the CEO of the company, and I appreciate all the accolades Jim brings up. I knew he would. Jim's, he's it's one of the roles that he plays as a marketing manager. We get solicited all the time for specific awards and accolades and magazine covers, and Jim sifts through them to see which ones we really feel that are relevant for us, and then submit our application and go through the process of voting and whatever else it may be. So I know Jim wears that as something proud of what he does, and I appreciate it. But as I kind of said at our holiday party last week, well, I don't want to call it a holiday party, but our little gathering for awards,
our socially distanced party,
which we'll talk about, I'm sure a little bit here. But these accolades, I'm the one that gets to my face is on the magazine or says my name, but at the end of the day, it's all about the company. I mean, anyone that's built something understands that you're only as good as the team behind you. And it's like every great man has a better woman behind them type saying. Every great company has a great staff behind them. I think it's Thomas Jefferson that said, I don't need to know everything. I just need to know which button to push on my phone to get the right person. And it's just true. And I think I've been able to build a team like that has allowed me to really succeed and excel in what I do, but it's everyone behind us. So getting that out of the way. Yeah, I mean, listen, we got hit hard. I personally, the company got hit, but I personally, my income is directly impacted. I'm not a 9-to-5 or style employee guy, as an owner and someone that gets paid based on the revenue of the organization. My direct compensation is impacted by our EBITDA. For those that don't know, EBITDA are net profits, and substantially impacted due to COVID overnight, because when the economy got rocked, people stopped shopping. I mean, the big companies like the Amazons, the Netflix, the Walmarts, the Home Depots, they've been killing it and crushing it during this, which is a whole nother podcast I'd love to talk about. The division of there's really no middle class anymore. It's upper and poor. But yes, as a small to medium sized business that we are, representing a lot of other SMBs across the country, restaurants are shut down. They're not accepting credit cards. I'm not making money. When people aren't out buying cars, the car dealership's not selling. I'm not making money. When people are not traveling, the transportation companies aren't doing any trips and the airlines aren't doing any trips. We're not making any money. So we got hit in so many places. Luckily, we're diversified. Some of our verticals that we're in had a little bit of some growth there, and we pivoted to help stores that generally wouldn't have an e-commerce presence, like let's say a sporting goods store, a bookstore, or a jewelry store. We really helped them adopt and adapt to this. So to where instead of them plummeting in sales, they plummeted for a minute, but then they kind of rebounded. So we got crushed. We were down 60% of our revenue at one point. And because we have partners in financial institutions such as Goldman Sachs and Prudential Capital, who have invested in our organization back in 2018, there's some fine rules and regulations that we couldn't get PPP or EIDL. So now we're stuck. My partners and I are stuck with making really tough decisions. Down 60% revenue. Our expenses weren't down 60%. Because we're not a product rich company that sits on inventory, that moves inventory. I mean, we're an employee and a staff rich company, and our operating expenses are heavily in staff and office supplies and office rent and things of that nature. So
technologies
investments and things. Exactly. Yeah. So anybody is wondering, this is black water. So this is water that has over 8.0 alkaline and pH and just a bunch of good, fulvic acid, antioxidants. So I'm not getting drunk or anything. I'm actually being healthy over here. And it's a good brand. It's one of my buddy's friend's brand. Check it out. It's Blackwater. But
I'm thinking when we end this call that I should probably call them and see if we could get anything for the endorsement there.
Hey, there we go. There we go.
CEO of a major company showing their bottle and describing it on the air. We should be compensated.
Yeah.
Jeff, you were talking a minute ago about the challenges that we faced as a company, and as you were describing that, I was thinking about your unique situation as an individual. And if you don't want to go there, it's okay. But for those of you that don't know, Jeff is a single dad of a young daughter, and all of a sudden, I'm sure you found yourself being a quasi school teacher as well. How has the pandemic affected you in your personal life of being a dad?
Yeah. So, I mean, no, I'll definitely go there. I mean, I'm a big believer in transparency and just helping people learn from my example. I haven't had the easiest road. I think I took the road less traveled. There's a book or movie, right? But and with that said, I'm a huge believer in just trying to motivate people and help people keep positive attitude and whatnot. And yeah, it's been hard on me, and something maybe we'll talk about today is what I've channeled that challenge into a opportunity to help others. But yeah, listen, I mean, I'm amicable with my ex-wife, but at the same time, I've been doing a lot of single parenting. Things have been rough on her as well. And as a CEO, I'm not just Chosen Payments. I mean, I own a lot of other companies that are very time consuming and demanding by choice. But yeah, so I become a father at home trying to, I can't believe what a 6-year-old in first grade can do getting on Zoom. But yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, I'm frustrated when I'm a scholar myself, and my daughter, is writing her threes backwards and is writing her B's and her D's upside down. And it's like, it bothers me. And I'm over here on a probably call trying to close a multi-million-dollar deal, and I'm trying to hear my daughter figure out how to write a B versus a D. Very difficult for me as a father that wants to see my daughter succeed, but also trying to cope with like what she's probably going through. She doesn't know any better, but at the same time, like, these are the important years. So it was really rough on me. It truly was. I mean, and I'm fortunate because I've worked really, really, really hard coming from nothing. I've worked really hard. I want to make sure my daughter, always had better than what I had. So I have a nanny that helps me. I'm not sitting here crying like, poor Jeff at all. I have a nanny that's, here from morning to night, goes home at night, comes back the next day. And when we went to homeschooling, my situation was a little bit more fortunate than the mother of my child. So I had her, I have her full time essentially to help, stay structured and whatnot. And it was really rough. It's been rough, and it's smoothed out now. We've got used to it, but in the beginning, it was hard. I mean, there was definitely some depression, some anxiety, and
Oh, for
fear.
sure.
And my nanny's great, but she's not like the most avid English speaking literature, guru. Either am I, to be honest. So it's like it was hard, and I wanted nothing more than to do something. And there wasn't much I could do at that point because I'm not a teacher at the end of the day. But I just sat there and supported my daughter. And we can probably get to some of the things that I have channeled it into to help other families as well. But I'll let you keep going. I don't want to steal your show.
Yeah, during the pandemic, my children are all grown, but I have 10 grandkids, and I could see my own kids struggling to teach their kids to fulfill a role that they don't normally do. And I was foolish enough one day to say, well, I'll help my granddaughter Kennedy with her math. Well, I don't know how to do math anymore, apparently, because the way I was taught, 2 plus 2 equals 4, and the way they do it now is like 2 plus 6 minus 2 equals 4, and the way you arrive at the number is vastly different. So I felt frustrated, and I'm sure there were times that you felt frustrated as well. And anybody watching that had kids at home probably felt frustrated because unless you chose being a teacher as your given career, I don't think any of us are really set up to do that, especially with young kids.
Yeah,
So,
I think anyone that has young kids at home can relate. How many times I've had to send a piece of paper back or to my daughter's in half school now, like half day, 2.5 hours, just they're doing like afternoon and mornings. But I've sent her into school or into her Zoom meetings with a piece of paper with a big question mark saying, Dad, like from me, like if I can't figure out a math problem, like Jim just said, or it's like, fill out these boxes. How many X's do you have minus the zeros plus the Y's? Like, if I can't figure out, how come my 6-year-old that, got robbed of her half of her kindergarten and the beginning of her first grade. So yeah, it's been.
I want to go back to your nanny for a bit. Because the last time I was at your house, I was looking for something and I opened your pantry, and it's kind of like being at a Walmart or something. You have rows of Cheez-Its, and all of the chips are perfectly square with each other, like they're on display at a grocery store. Now, is that you, Jeff, or is that the nanny?
Look, of course you would ask me that. That's good. It's 100% me. So, yeah, I'm definitely an OCD freak when it comes to being, neat and organized and clean at home. It's weird. My office isn't like that, but at home, I want everything in one place. I don't want one water. I want 20 waters. It doesn't like give me like crazy anxiety where I'm saying, some people suffer from OCD, like true OCD, and where it creates a lot of anxiety. For me, I'm just very particular. I like things super neat, super clean. I mean, my closet is all the shoes are perfectly organized by brand, by color. All the shirts are hung up with the same hangers. If you look at my refrigerator, there's the same beer, same water, same, like everything is just perfectly lined up like you'd see in a movie. And no, it's all me, but my nanny's been with me before she was a nanny. She cleaned my house once a week 14 years ago and has stuck with me this whole time. My daughter's only 6. So, or I guess, yeah, 14 years ago, I think. So yeah, she's learned my way, and she's really more than a nanny. I mean, she's like the wife that you don't sleep with, basically.
Yeah. And by the way, I did look in your refrigerator. And by the way, if anybody wants a photo of Jeff's pantry, I took one. I had to bring it back and show my wife and say, look at this dude. It's either him or the nanny, but they're extremely organized and efficient
Yeah.
at Jeff Brodsly's house, which, working for you, how could I expect you to be any different at home than you are at work? Something that I continually get asked about is, are there any particular industries that we serve that have done particularly well or particularly bad in the pandemic? Somebody that's been really hard hit. And the one industry that I constantly get questioned about, for those that know that we're deep in the funeral industry, say, well, all these people are dying because of COVID, so you must be making more money off of the funeral directors. I don't know. Are they doing good? Is there any industry good or bad?
Yeah, truthfully, I mean, I think, you specifically coming from your roots being in the transportation industry years ago, you obviously have your hand on the pulse there. Transportation and hospitality. So high-end hotels and resorts and transportation are two of our big verticals. They're just getting crushed. I mean, no one's traveling. Started to open up a little bit, and whatnot. But, we have high-end resorts, so ski resorts and summer resorts and spring resorts and things like that. It's not just like a Marriott or whatever, but everyone, hotel and transportation, has just been crushed. I think at one point down about 89 to 91% is what we saw across thousands of clients.
Right.
And it came back to, I think it came back to around some on average about 70%, and now it's back to down about 80% again. So just depends what they're in. So those are the industries that I've seen suffer the worst. To touch on the funeral side, I think, without getting into the politics of COVID and this and that, I think that at the end of the day, yes, people are dying from COVID. More people are dying from COVID this year than were last year, because there was, really no such thing as a COVID disease last year or whatnot. But I think death rates across America are relatively stable. I'm not a mathematician or whatnot, but I think that death rates in general are not like skyrocketed. I think the reasons for rates have changed, COVID versus flu versus alcoholism. But again, I'm not the statistics guy. I know rates have gone up with suicide, which is, I know, near and dear to your heart, Jim, and mental illness and alcoholism and things like that. So, while I think that, perception is funeral homes would be doing so much more business because of these COVID deaths, I just, I think that without knowing statistics, I don't think death rates are in general, a death period has skyrocketed through the roof like COVID has. So I do think funeral has sustained. I do think that, being in the funeral industry, people are, it's a joke that they say within their own industry. So I'm not, offending anyone, but they always say, well, they're dying, people are dying to get in. It's the truth. I mean, it is what it is. It's a pretty recession-proof business to be in. I think that, somebody has to do that job. It's not, I've been to a lot of these conventions. It's not fun. It's not easy, but somebody has to do that job. And I think the funeral, I think it's probably remained pretty consistent. I don't think it's gone down, but if anything, it's gone up slightly. I think some of the industries that, we've seen some peaks in are sporting goods for sure. A lot of people are spending more time with their children outside or with their family outside, riding bikes, playing basketball in their backyard. So sporting goods, buying rollerblades. We do some stuff with like outdoor fishing and hunting. That's sporting goods as well. That has gone up. Mom and pop small bookstores have gone through the roof as well. A lot of people, myself included, are even though I'm a victim of it, because it's like it's almost impossible not to. Like, I don't encourage anybody to order from Amazon. I think we should all shop local. Local is the heart blood of our economy, and local is just getting straight up screwed right now by what's going on. I mean, the politicians are not thinking about local businesses, or if they are, they're not doing the right initiatives, in my opinion. So, the Amazons of the world, the mom and pop bookstores have really done a good job, and we've helped them as well and we've interviewed a few mom and pop bookstores here on the Chosen Scoop.
We have.
To pivot and compete against Amazon and get the normal clientele. Don't go spend the $20 on the book that you're going to read at home, whether it's a book about racial injustice because that was going on in the world, or whether it's a book about the COVID-19 disease or other diseases from back in the day. People they're at home, they're wanting to study. So studying became more prevalent, and bookstores, we helped convert about 200 to 300 bookstores to e-commerce presence that really didn't have it before. So those are some trends that I've seen out there. But there are a lot more, but those are the ones that I've seen.
For those that don't know, one of our partners that we work with is the American Booksellers Association, ABA. And I think that we really were able to bring a lot of the pivot necessary for them to survive in this pandemic. And I think that there's many people that lost their jobs or they're working from home and have more time on their hands. And I think that reading is a pastime that people really enjoy. So the book, for us to jump in and work with our ABA merchants to get them set up for e-commerce right away and pivot in such a fast way was really a testament to what we do at Chosen, and really keeping a pulse on the industries that we serve and reacting to what they need. How about the jewelry industry? We are partners with Jewelers of America. We are partners with CBG. Are people still buying jewelry?
Fortunately, people are buying jewelry. I think, unlike kind of the mortgage recession where there was a ton of false inflated revenue or income in people's worlds, where you're and I don't want to say mortgage recession, but the real estate recession, where homes were improperly inflated the value, and people were then going out and refinancing them and taking all the cash out and buying all these things they didn't need. I think with this type of recession, if we're going to call it a recession, I think that people still have kept their jobs for the most part. The blue collar, a lot of people in corporate America have kept their jobs. In such, those same people, they may be working from home, but they still have an income. There's more people I know that still have an income than don't have an income. There's a lot of people that don't as well, that have been laid off in the restaurant industry, in the service industry, things of that nature. But the more the corporate blue collar type stuff, there's that's non-service based. I think people have kept their jobs, and in such, people still do have some discretionary funds to spend. That's why hair salons and nail salons, while they're shut down again in California now, but those haven't taken a hit like they did in the real estate crisis, just like jewelry. So I don't think people are going. I know people aren't going and shopping in retail malls and retail jewelry stores as much as they were. Jewelry's still surviving. They're down. I mean, they're down definitely, 50+% at peak, and probably still down now. But luckily for the holidays, I know I just bought some people near and dear to me some jewelry, accessory, purses type of things. So people are still spending money there. It's not an industry that's getting it easy, but it's not an industry that's getting crushed either. It's unfortunate. I mean, it's unfortunate for a lot. I think we're filming this one day, or I think maybe 2 days after the vaccine came to America. So hopefully that'll loosen up and things will get back to normal a little bit, and people start spending again and everything. And I hope, like everything in life, again, we can get into the whole he said, she said politics and stereo and conspiracy theories on what's going on here. But I think at the end of the day, most of this is out of my control or your control. That's for sure, Jim. And most of the people watching this control. And what we can control is how we act and what we do and what we take of it. And we have to use this as a learning experience. As a business owner, we have to learn how to stay diversified, how to not keep all our eggs in one basket, how to plan for a disaster. We need to, stay nimble and not just keep our eye on the big prize, but tomorrow as well. And a lot of people get, they step over dollars to pick up pennies, and sometimes that's not the right thing to do. So, and then personally, it's like the time that we're spending with our family. I think, the adversity of being dealt with something you can't control and trying to figure out what you can control. And so there's a lot we have to learn from this pandemic that we can take away, as opposed to a lot of us took a ton of haircuts when it came to money, not hair, but when it came to money and stress and mental illness and alcoholism and things of that nature, and losing businesses that people work their lives for. There's always a lesson if you have the ability to look forward to it, and to look past it. There's always a lesson to be seen and making us stronger. So it's an age-old analogy or a saying, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think it's cheesy, but I think it's real.
Yeah, I think so too. I can tell you that, California, you mentioned it, we're back to lockdown. And on the day that our governor decided that was the best course of action, and I too am not going to get political on this, but I was on my way to lunch and listening to the radio and hearing him say that this is what we need to do again. And although it wasn't really time for me to get a haircut, I finished my lunch and headed right over. And the girl that cuts my hair, when I walked in, she said, "I don't have you on my books today." And I said, "Well, I'm hoping that since I don't have a lot of hair to begin with, that you can squeeze me in, because who knows how long it's going to be before I can get a haircut again." And she told me, "I don't care what the governor says. You can get a haircut next week. We're going to black out our windows and you might be coming in the alley, but we'll cut your hair."
Yeah.
And I think that this, that type of attitude and sentiment is from this thing going on so long, that people are just really frustrated.
It's out of everybody's control.
They're coming up.
It's bad because it's out of control. Listen, not a single person wants to contract the flu, the cough, AIDS, STDs, or coronavirus. Nobody does. This is a new thing, but what people don't want more than anything is their rights taken away and their ability to earn an income. And I think if people just have had enough, they put faith in the government and they put faith in whoever to try to make it happen quickly. And again, I'm not getting involved in either side. I think it should be science-based, and I don't know enough about it. But what I do know is I'm seeing a ton of people, including myself, struggle and not really be able to make ends meet in certain businesses of ours. I entered into the retail restaurant space like right before COVID hit. So I see it. And, I personally, I would support those businesses that choose to stay open and fight for their life right now, because I think that's more important. As long as they're following, as long as they personally are making, this is the way I believe it. As long as the people are personally making a choice that they understand the health risk that they're putting themselves in, and they're willing to put that risk secondary to their income. And everybody entering their establishment understands the same health risks further in their, whatever it means to them, and they're willing to put themselves in that situation. I support that, because I support business and small business. If we don't support this stuff, then I don't know who we do support and what we do support and what we stand for. So I don't want anyone to get sick. I don't want anybody to. But if you're willing to step out of your house when you're being told not to, you're making a calculated risk. Go ahead and make that risk, because you believe that whatever you're doing it for is a greater reason than staying at home.
Absolutely. And my wife and I feel exactly that way. And we have one of our merchants with Chosen Payments is here in my hometown of Bakersfield, Tina Marie's Downtown Cafe. And when we heard that they were allowing dining room experiences, we said, we have to go. And not only do we have to go, but when we tip, instead of tipping at 20 or 25%, we're doing 30, 35, 40%, because we know those girls making minimum wage and tips, that's their livelihood. But we feel the same, that the government should not restrict our movement or interfere in commerce, and that's what that is. If we choose to go to Tina Marie's Cafe to eat, the risk is on us in making the decision to go there. And when you walk into an establishment, you can look around and see what kind of precautions they're taking. They had plexiglass between every booth and separated them every other booth where you sat. So we felt reasonably comfortable and protected. And maybe it's a false illusion. And sadly, our Tina Marie's burned down on Saturday to the ground. But they will rebuild. They it's just,
Was that
I feel
arson?
bad.
Like somebody was upset with them, or it just happened?
Actually, there was a business next door to theirs that was vacant, and transients got into it and lit a warming fire that got out of control. It got into a common attic and then spread over to her place. And check this crazy thing out. That happened at 2:30 in the morning. By 11 o'clock in the morning, the fire trucks all left, and at 1:30 in the afternoon, it was on fire again. And so
Wow.
now they're looking at that as arson.
Wow.
But the good thing is the fire department pinpointed immediately that it did not start at Tina Marie's, because you can imagine the optics of that.
Yeah, of course.
And all of a sudden your building burns down. So it's good that they quickly located the source. But this is just an example of the governor.
That, but what you were saying though too is like, because we're gonna have a lot of viewers from different walks of life. I think, listen, like I'll go on a podcast and just go balls out and talk about my position, but because everyone has a position, and guess what? I don't care what your position is. I still love you, like period. Like we're all human beings, and that's what we need to remember. We're all American, and we're all allowed to have different positions. That's what makes us American. We're not a communist country, and we're not being told what to do. May feel like it, but at the end of the day, we all have our own opinions. That said, I think people that don't like what me and you may have said of if I choose to go out and have dinner with my wife, what you're saying, I'm making my own choices. People perceive that as selfish because you may be spreading it to somebody else. Even though you feel you're okay, you may be spreading it to somebody else. And I get it. I mean, the truth of the matter, me and you both know, right? We just had a big scare at our company, and we had, despite the what we're supposed to be doing with COVID and this and that, and I'm safe. Like I try to be safe, but at a company, instead of doing what we normally do, we did it in an open air environment. We social distanced our tables. We used an open warehouse that's below our office instead of doing it at a restaurant. And then a day later, we get an email from HR and all these things that, somebody contracted, somebody tested positive, and we were all just together. And it's like, it puts things into perspective. It's like, holy shit, like, wow, so was it selfish of me as a business owner to have that event? Was it selfish of me as a father to expose myself to something that I could then expose my child to? Was it selfish of me to expose myself to something and then be around my father who has underlying conditions? A lot of that goes into play. I've sat with that for many days now. And I think the truth of the matter is we all have a choice, and we all have to be able to live and stand by our choice. And we have to make our choice based on what we believe in, not what the media says, not what Jim Luff says, not what someone else says. I've had some very close friends come to near death on this COVID stuff. I'm not a doctor. I don't know if it was COVID related, if it was an underlying condition. All I know is someone almost died due to it. I know people that have overdosed on drugs, that know people that overdosed on drugs and have mental illness because of this. So at the end of the day, no opinion's right, but this is a scary time. And I think the reason why I want to re-bring it up, and I don't want to keep talking about it because it could take forever, but I think at the end of the day, we have to make calculated risks and calculated choices, and we just have to live by what we do. Would I have a holiday party with awards over again? Absolutely. Maybe would we make masks mandatory as opposed to not mandatory? Maybe, obviously everybody came there on their own free will. They weren't forced to go there, and everybody felt comfortable. But, I think the issue was contained so far. I haven't heard of many people that, has spread or whatnot. But
yeah, we didn't become a hot spot.
Yeah. I expected us to, but at the end of the day, I think that going back to the root of this is just, we are all craving for human interaction, and that's what this is about. This is about, we didn't do what we normally did, and we did awards, and we wanted to award people. It's been the most challenging year being in the credit card processing business. Credit cards are through the roof right now. People aren't using cash, so more credit cards are transacting. B, businesses like, the local restaurant that is Italian, my partner at Lemo's Pizzeria also owns Lemo's Grill, fine dining Italian joint. I mean, he's having to pivot to not seating people, or now to go orders, and the More Park community supporting him. But at the end of the day, like, he didn't have like orders, like menus on the website as much as like they were there, but not people came in for the experience. He has to have now run it out to go and all these things. So it's hopefully this gets over soon. Chosen Payments as a whole has been very good about helping our merchants pivot and stay alive during this. I've been impacted, but I'm staying strong, and I'm happy to end 2020 standing still, and know that 2021 has so much more to offer.
So let's take a peek into 2021. I know we have something big on the horizon for the start of the year. And why don't you share what we might expect from Chosen in 2021, starting with that big move?
I don't know what you're referring to unless that was just a pun, right? Was it a pun there?
I guess that was a pun.
Yeah, I mean, so we're moving offices. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah,
I was talking about moving to the new office.
Yeah, we're moving to offices. We've been in this office since I founded the company 2011. We were just across the street, and now we're here for the last, I think, 9 years. Same, address or whatnot, 2 different buildings. But we're finally making a move to a location that has a little bit more liveliness and is more retail driven. But so yeah, I mean, anytime you're moving is kind of fun and exciting. We're going through the interior decorations of it and things of that nature. So we're starting that off, and it's kind of like, new year, new office, new attitude, whatnot. We have a lot. We have a lot of things that we've taken this time, like a lot of business owners, to do, is sit back and think. And so we've reinvested in a lot of technology. I think technology is starting to rule the world, as it has been for the past many years, but now more than ever. So yeah, that's the start of 2021. We're going to focus on getting in a new building, wiping a clean slate. We're going to merge some brands that we have, merged together with over the past few years. We're going to have a bigger collective brand with the Aurora parent company and some other companies that were either acquired or looking to acquire. We're going to still have some work from home people, and we're going to let our paths be determined based on what we feel is right in that moment. And I think that's the best way to live life. And the company is very healthy and very happy, and we're growing and thriving in a time most aren't. It's not because anything but the heart and the determination of the entire organization. As I said at our holiday, banquet and a holiday awards deal, is just, it's all about the heart. You can't teach people how to have a heart and how to have passion and how to have determination. And I don't know how to fail. It's not in my blood. I failed many times, but I don't know how to fail, because I get right back up and I keep going. And I'm only one person out of 130 plus people that get paid by us every single month. But I think when you bleed green like we do, Chosen Green, we all bleed the same blood. We're all the same person. But that's what really makes Chosen Payments different and makes us so much more impactful than the typical credit card processor, because we truly have a desire and a passion to be the best we truly are, the best that's out there. Nobody's going to do a better job than me. I will not stop until I can show someone that I'm the best possible option. And if I'm not the best option, I'll tell them, you know what, you're better off somewhere else. Because guess what? Not everybody's willing to pay the price for quality. And we're not the turn-of-the-mill Motel 6 type company. Nothing against Motel 6. But we're not an off-the-shelf. We're a custom processor that wants to do business with people that understand the value of spending money. And if you're going to spend $1 for something, I guarantee you that we're going to be the best dollar you're ever going to spend. But I'm not going to cost 50 cents. I'm going to cost $1.
Yeah.
That's what 2021 is all about. 2021 is all about making sure that we attract the right clientele that's not going to nickel and dime us, because nobody likes getting nickel and dime, and somebody's willing to pay for value, and they understand that I'm only going to pay $1 to do business with Chosen. I should be paying $20, but I'm not going to ask them for 50 cents on the dollar, because it's not what I get. I should be grateful and lucky that I'm paying $1 as opposed to $20. And if someone doesn't see the value, I'm going to bust my butt and make sure our staff busts our butt to show them the value. And that's what we did during COVID. That's what we're going to roll out and continue to roll out in 2021.
So for me, I think the biggest disappointment of 2020 caused by the pandemic is That Chosen Payments, we attend many shows during each year. Sarah and I would travel about 30 weeks out of the year. And the great thing about being part of the Chosen team is it doesn't matter whether we're at a convention for the National Funeral Directors Association, or we're at a convention for the American Booksellers Association, or the limo industry. When we walk through a crowd as the Chosen team, no matter what industry it is, everybody's like, there's Chosen, there's the credit card people. And while I'm not going to lie, I don't like the traveling, I don't like living in hotels, but what I do when I get to my job at a trade show floor, I love meeting all the people that we get to meet from so many different industries and hearing about their life. And I'm not going to lie, I sat here during this pandemic, grounded at home, wondering about so many of our friends in so many different industries and how are they doing. And Jeff, you touched on it a few minutes ago about the party and the craving for human interaction. I am one of the people that works from home for Chosen, and the opportunity just to be with my peers in person and see real flesh and get off the Zoom was very important to me. It was super important mentally. I do want to share, we talked also about suicide a little bit. Folks, if you're feeling depressed about this, I saw one of our limo operators post on social media that he came very close to pulling the trigger and didn't. And I'm telling you, folks, if you're feeling bad, you're feeling depressed, get some help. Call a friend, call the suicide hotline prevention, call Jeff Brodsly. He'll take your call. I'll take your call.
Yeah, I'll do anything to help anybody in any sort of
situation. Don't ignore it, because it's not going to go away until this. Jeff also mentioned that we are, on the day that we're taping this, is 2 days into the vaccine. So I'm hoping with you, Jeff, that this is going to be a game changer for us and get the world back on track.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Jim. I think for me, ultimately, I've done well in my life, a lot of challenges, which, one day the whole story will be out there. And my ultimate goal is to, be on stage and be like a mini Tony Robbins, not do it for the money, but just do it for motivating people. And can't tell you how many people have been in my life that just want me to write a book and want me to tell my story and be out there. And that's my calling, like giving back. I've worked really, 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 really hard the last 11 years coming from adversity and done well enough, financially to where I can now like not worry as much about money, but go out for passion. And my passion is to help people. So what you just said, like, listen, I don't care whatever you're suffering through. I'm not going to give anybody handouts because I didn't get any handouts. But if you're suffering from something, like actually suffering from something, anxiety, depression, suicide, alcoholism, financial loss, I'll give you a job. I'm not going to hand you $1, but I'll give you, I definitely will hand you $1. We did some stuff for Thanksgiving. Actually, today we just were on the cover of Chauffeur Driven magazine, came out today, which is something that I'm very proud of. We adopted, we helped 19 families in my hometown Moore Park for Thanksgiving to make sure that we fed 120 people Thanksgiving meals at their own family. And I've done some amazing things with the Moore Park Unified School District, which I'll talk about later because there'll be some big press on it. But really kind of like sponsored some kids that were struggling, like my daughter was. As I said early on, if I'm going to struggle and I have an assistant and a nanny and a job today, there's got to be people that are just struggling so much worse than I am. And I want to do anything I could. So I use my resources, both money and time and sweat equity and time and value, to really give back. But where I'm going with this, and where is at the end of the day, my whole goal in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, who knows, I'm going to be on stage and I'm going to be talking to people that are struggling. And if that's you today and you're watching this, reach out to me. I will help you. Email me, jeffb@chosenpayments.com, and tell me what's going on. And I guarantee you, I will make that more of a priority than trying to close a new business deal, because I care. I care about that. And I want to give back because I know what it's like to not have somebody there on the other side to help. I've been through that. I've overcome it. And here I am today. And I want to help everybody and anybody that's struggling. If you're in a bad relationship, if you're in a bad work situation, if you are in financial crisis, if you're in emotional or mental crisis, anything like that, I want to be your guy that can help you. Don't be afraid to ask. I never had a mentor growing up. I have a few mentors now, but I don't get me wrong, I had great parents, but just different. We all come from a lineage of unfortunate circumstances, and we fought through it. And I'm closer with my parents now than I've ever been. But listen, there's been some hard roads to get by, and there's been a lot of forks on those roads. I could have turned either way, and something, higher power or whatever kept me going one way. And I want to make sure that other people have that same strength and ability and feel supported. And whether I know you or not, I want to support you. Reach out to me.
Well, with that said, I think we've taken up about 40 minutes of your time, and that was the real Jeff Brodsly there. That was amazing that you shared that invitation to people. As you mentioned, suicide is very near and dear to me. I've had a son and a first wife that both chose to take their life, and so this is serious business, folks. If you need help, reach out to Jeff. He gave his email address. You can reach out to me as well. Anyway, we wanted to spend a little time with you and share how it's been with us from our perspective, and what we're looking forward to in 2021. I think that we're all in for an improvement in life in 2021. And Jeff, I'll leave you to the final comments.
Yeah, no, Jim, I appreciate you taking the time. I like this stuff. I usually am doing the interviewing, so it's fun to get interviewed. I just personally, professionally, life is short. This year was rough on a lot of us. I think we need to really end the year with similar to what I said at our meeting at our company awards banquet. Let's think about what we did good and let's celebrate our wins. We could sit here, and I have a piece of paper here, and I could make a million things here of what was wrong in 2020. But let's celebrate our wins, because trust me, we won in 2020, personally, professionally. Our society won, the stock market's up, whatever it may be, there's wins. But let's figure out what we want to do different in 2021. Personally, what can I do different? Did I put on too much weight during COVID? Did I drink too much? Did I start doing drugs? Did I cheat on my wife? Did I not put as much as I wanted to in my business? Or was I perfect? Okay, if I was perfect, how can I be even better? None of us were perfect. Let's figure out, let's celebrate what we did good. Give yourself a break. It's been a hard enough year. Celebrate what you did good. Don't beat yourself up. But what you did bad, what can you do better with those in 2021? I want everybody to do that. Please do that if you're watching this. Please do that in life. And let's just make 2021 better, because if I'm a better person for me, I'm going to be a better boss to Jim. I'm going to be a better mentor to you. I'm going to be a better son to my dad. I'm going to be a better father to my daughter. And just, we're all going to be a better place. It starts from within. So I did a lot of self-growth in 2020, a ton of self-growth. I have a tattoo on my arm in Italian that says, Amo il se, love the self. So I don't know if you can see it. It's hard. Love the self.
Yeah.
Like, listen, we need to love ourselves before we can love anybody else. The more we love ourselves, the more we can give. Let's focus on that. Let's focus on making 2021 your year. If it's your year, you can positively impact those others around you. I appreciate the time, Jim.
Great advice from a great man. This episode is scheduled to drop on the 23rd of December. So with that, we wish you happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, and Merry Christmas. Goodbye, everybody.